Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace and blessings be upon you. I bring you greetings from the Mosque of Islamic Brotherhood. We are here today just to ask a simple question. What does the 4th of July have to do with me? You know, this was a question that our brother Frederick Douglass raised when he was asked to commemorate the event by giving a speech. And so that was primarily the question that he asked. He didn't want to diminish the significance that this particular event had for others that were in the land at that particular time. But at the time, remember, the 4th of July commemorates an event 1776. In 1776, people of African descent were slaves in the land. It should be clear to us that any event that we begin to commemorate has an historical context. The context within which this event took place, Frederick Douglass had to ask, what does the 4th of July have to do with us? And so we are here to ask the same question. People of African descent should never engage in any kind of contemporary event without first asking themselves, what is the historical context for this event? Nothing happens in a vacuum. We have to ask ourselves constantly when we find ourselves in a place, how did we get here? And each of us, people of African descent, need to ask that question every time this day comes around. Because during this day, we were not a part of this conversation. We were not included in this conversation. As a matter of fact, the 4th of July had nothing to do with us. And so in this day and time, we continue to ask that question, what does the 4th of July have to do with me, a person of African descent, an ex-slave in this country, a person who is still considered in some instances, in some part of the world, some parts of this country, to be 3/5 of a man. Frederick Douglass reminded us that slavery has not been abolished. That is also clear based on the Constitution of the land. The 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution says that slavery shall be abolished except for those people convicted of a crime. So it is natural, those of us that are descendants of ex-slaves, those of us that are continue to be considered to be a contemporary slaves to ex-slaves in this country, to ask the question, what does the 4th of July have to do with us? And so we're just putting this out there so that we, again, as a people, can engage in reflection, to engage in serious consideration about these events that take place, even though, you know, we're out here, you know, for barbecues, we're out here, you know, with our firecrackers, we're out here with our hamburgers, enjoying ourselves. We should always be critical about, you know, the places that we take ourselves to. When we take ourselves to an event, we're saying that this thing is okay. But we here at the Mosque of Islamic Brotherhood are asking ourselves, you know, a question. Before we even bring ourselves to the event, what does the 4th of July have to do with us? And if you decide to embrace this idea, these notions of freedom, justice, and equality, the pursuit of happiness, ask yourself whether or not an environment has been created for us to engage in this type of activity in terms of our own pursuit of happiness and liberty and justice. And so we again here are members of the Mosque of Islamic Brotherhood. We are just putting these ideas out there so as we think about them, we are suggesting that we, people of African descent, collectively need to ask these same questions. Once we find the answers to these questions, then we'll be able to move effectively in the land in which we find ourselves to engage in concrete changes to ensure that the system in which we are living in benefits us. May Allah Ta'ala continue to bless us. May Allah Ta'ala continue to strengthen us. May Allah Ta'ala have mercy on our souls and forgive us of our sins. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings be upon you all.